No, I don't like it. Sorry Survivor, but I don't like it. You guys pulled this trick last season and it got a hell of a lot of negative reaction. I don't know why you recycled it. I had it in the back of my mind that you might try to do this again, but I didn't consider it possible because it was not well received last time. I mean, it broke one of the cardinal rules of Survivor, which is someone gets voted out at the end of each episode. One episode, one person gets voted out. Every time someone has gone to tribal, someone needs to get voted out. In the entire history of Survivor, in the last 35 or whatever seasons, until you guys did this last season, breaking the tradition, and now you've done it again. I just don't understand. It's not good. Fair is fair in Survivor. I know there's all kinds of dirty tricks and twists and stuff that the players can do to each other, but you can't do this to the players. If someone has their name written down, they get the majority of the votes, they should be voted out. You can't suddenly decide that Tribal Council is not to vote people out, it's to send people off to Exile Island or whatever. I'm sorry, I just don't like it. I really don't. I mean, unless it's like Exile Island the season and that happens throughout the whole of the season, then it's fair because that applies equally to everyone who gets voted out. But yeah, I'm sorry, I just don't like it. Tara should be out right now. That's fair. Those are the rules of the game. And I mean, I'll still do a strategic breakdown of the episode, even though it doesn't matter because nobody went out anyway, which is why you shouldn't do this. So yeah, what was all that stuff in the episode? I mean, it was just pointless at the end. All that scrambling, all that strategy, it doesn't matter. We're just back to where we were at the start of the episode. It was no point in even watching it, really. If no one's going to get voted out, then none of it really matters. But regardless, I guess we got to do a strategic analysis anyway. Let's pretend people actually did go home, in which case the analysis would actually matter. Let's pretend. So the episode starts with sulky Jericho upset that Mark was voted out last night. So Jericho decides to put the fire out in the middle of the night, which led to everyone being cold and miserable and somehow not knowing how to light a fire to cook the rice the next day. Seriously, does nobody else know how to light the fire? I mean, Mark did it every time. You know, whenever there's a tie in Survivor in the voting and on the revote there's a tie again, it comes down to making fire. So really you should be trying to make the fire every single time. In case you ever find yourself in that situation, you'll be able to get out of it. But apparently not. Apparently not. They're all just waiting for Luke to do it, and of course he eventually does, because as much as he is angry at everyone else, he has to eat too. But you know, if Jericho really wanted to make the rest of the tribe suffer, he wouldn't have just put out the fire. He should have stolen the flint, so he and Luke could sneak off and make a fire somewhere else, to like cook fish they catch or whatever. Or just hide the flint in his sock, pretend he's gonna make a fire with a stick, and then just whip out the flint when no one's looking, then hide it back in his sock so that only he can make the fire. But their tribe was not the one that went to Tribal Council tonight, so let's focus on a saga. We are set up for Luke versus Henry. I am so excited. Been looking forward to this for a long time. I don't know why Henry didn't try to target Luke sooner. I guess he had to take out Sam and then Mark, and now Luke's just next on the chopping block. But the fact that these two are the best strategic players in the game is evident when they win the reward challenge, because they are the only two people who notice the little clue fake out things, both of which pocket them. Only Henry actually reveals to people is the actual clipper set. So there was a good fake out from the show there, probably because Henry already has the immunity idol. So if he did not have the immunity idol and it was out in play, that probably would have been clues there on those two tables. But since he had it, no, it wasn't that. And apart from the incident of Luke shaving his balls for some reason, everyone on Twitter was very angry that they were actually using soapy products and shampoo in the natural water. Apparently, that's a big no-no. But as I said, they did not end up going to trouble because Henry was able to solve the maze so quick. He was the first one there able to solve that maze, and that was a difficult maze. You couldn't even see it. You know, the more I see of Henry, the more I'm thinking he's gonna win this. He's just so much better than everyone else there. Like, he beat Jericho on his side in solving the puzzle, and also Peter and Ziggy on the other side who were trying to solve the same puzzle. He just really seems to have his head around this game. I think he definitely is the most deserving Survivor player, but deserving does not always make a winner. The more things he does to build up his resume, the more the target will be on his back. So that's the delicate balancing act that any Survivor contestant needs to play. But Henry by far is certainly my favorite player, and I think he's done some of the most impressive moves so far. But all those fears that the blue tribe couldn't win without Mark were unwarranted because they did win, sending the pink tribe to tribal council yet again. So they've gone back to their old habit of losing all the tribal immunity challenges. It was pretty funny how Lockie just sort of walks around the side of the shelter, and by the time he walks out again, everyone's dispersed. Everyone's just vanished like smoke in a wind to head off and scheme about who they're going to vote out. And it's just him and the two other people that are on the bottom, Annalisa and Tara, just kind of stuck there going, okay. And when you look at the tribe breakdown, it's 3 of them versus the other 5. Not a whole lot they can do if they don't have an immunity idol. Jared's not going to split from AK, they're totally tight. Tess is grateful for AK for saving her when she was on the bottom, so they're totally tight. Maybe they could bring back Peter, but they don't really have anything to offer him. He jumped ship because he recognized they were a sinking ship, so he jumped. They don't really have anything to offer him to entice him back. They have been teasing that Tara and Lockie have been sort of romancing Ziggy a bit, trying to get her on side, but even if she does switch, it will then just be a 4-4 split. And Lockie mentions in this, a 4-4 split, he believes on the revote, people will take the opportunity to take out Lockie rather than one of them, so that's what he's banking on. But AK is not to be outdone. He realizes that if one of these 3, Lockie, Tara or Annalise, has an immunity idol and plays it for the person that they're voting for, it will flip the votes in the other direction, and that'll mean probably he's going to go home. So he decides it's necessary to split the votes, but of course they would need to have a majority of 6 in order to split the votes between the remaining 2, 3 versus 3. So he tries to get on side Annalise. Annalise does her bit sort of playing along, pretending she's going to go along with him, but in the end, nobody had an idol and Annalise did not flip, which results in a 3-3-2 vote, with AK and Tara being on the chopping block. However, Lockie was wrong on the revote. Those who voted for Lockie, those remaining 2 who voted for Lockie, just switched their votes over to Tara, and she should have got her torch snuffed out, but she didn't because they decided to change the rules at the last second, giving none of the players any opportunity to actually make any strategic play, thus in effect completely removing skill out of the game and making this just a series of random events, which kind of robs the final survivor of any legitimacy because anybody could have been taken out through this crazy rules when they just change rules like this. It has to be skill based. Everybody needs to stay in the game either through strategy or through winning challenges or through their social skills. Changing the rules like this obliterates all of that, and it just takes it down to random chance, the roll of the dice, whatever the show decides to do. No, there's a difference between situations changing within the game and the game itself changing rules to screw over people who are unlucky enough to be on the bottom end of that. Tara legitimately got voted out because of her bad gameplay. She should go, she should not get another chance. Kinda dodgy, but so anyway, then he announces there's going to be a second person voted out, and because they all now know that Annalisa didn't go with her, they actually started calling out, "Voting for you, Annalise, you should have sided with us when you had the chance, but now you're going to have to go home." And that was fantastic, every person going up there writing her name and calling out, "Sorry, Annalise." That would have been a fantastic moment if she was actually getting voted out, but of course she's not, so none of this matters. But again, that was a great moment. But in all the confusion of Tribal Council, there was one moment that might go unnoticed, which was, once the initial vote went with the 3-3 split between AK and Tara, and then the revote took out Tara, Annalise realised she should have flipped, but she didn't. So then when they introduced the second one getting voted, and everyone starts calling out her name, and someone says, "You should have gone with us," Annalise actually said, "I wish I had," or "I should have," I can't remember which it is. So she realized she made a mistake. That was an interesting point that kind of got glossed over. Hopefully, her being given a second chance in this game, completely unfairly, but nevertheless a second chance, might mean she can redeem herself and she won't make the same mistake again. I hope so. So be sure to follow me on Twitter because I do tweet throughout the show as it's on TV. So if you want to keep track of like some of my tweets and get into a conversation with me during the show, please do follow me on Twitter. It's Bandit Inc. Just follow the links on the page. It shouldn't be that hard to find me. So until next time, I am Bandit, this is Bandit Strategy, and I will see you guys in the comments.